Revealed, Thoth's prophetic words about Jesus that change everything we were taught in church. In the heart of a quaint English village, nestled among rolling green hills, Pastor Simon, a devoted leader, stood at the intersection of faith and doubt. The air crackled with a tension that was almost palpable. After years of steadfast service, the church he loved was all but empty, its pews gathering dust and neglect. Rumors spread like wildfire about an illness sweeping through the village, and with it came a wave of uncertainty that left hearts heavy and spirits dimmed. But hope flickered in an unexpected moment of divine mystery when Simon stumbled upon a timeless tome in a dusty old antique shop. The ancient text bore the words of Thoth, an enigmatic figure whose wisdom was shrouded in shadows, whispered about in reverence. "A Savior shall arise," it proclaimed, drawing Simon into a whirlpool of exhilaration and trepidation. Each word echoed in his heart. Could this prophecy intertwine with his beloved Jesus? Visions of miraculous healing swirled around him, igniting a long-dormant flame of hope within the congregation. They had been longing for a sign, a renewed faith that could break through the thick fog of despair. Yet as the sun set on the eve of the service, the village was heavy with anxiety. Some villagers whispered in intrigue, others scoffed, questioning how ancient mysticism could coalesce with the teachings they held so dear. The streets felt alive with murmurs of doubt, the very walls echoing with questions that bore down on Simon like a storm. Just then, he received a jarring call, the worst news imaginable. Mary, his beloved wife and the church's radiant light, had collapsed. The illness that ravaged their community had taken aim at the most cherished soul among them. As panic threatened to overwhelm Simon, doubt seeped into his heart. His hands trembled as he recalled Thoth's prophetic words. Could he truly hold on to this promise? Could he trust? In desperation, he gathered the grieving villagers for prayer. An ember of united hope flared as they collectively invoked Thoth's wisdom. Their voices rose in fervent abandon, reaching towards the heavens. "Lord, grant us healing," they cried, hearts pounding in unison. It was in that charged moment, a soft, sacred light flooded the church. An inexplicable peace filled the air as whispers of the divine comforted the congregation. Miraculously, Mary stirred. The very essence of life returned to her, her once pale cheeks now glowed with a radiant warmth. Gasps of joy erupted, hands raised high in gratitude as hymns of praise filled the halls. You could feel the divine presence, it wove through their souls, stitching together their fractured faith. Doubters now became believers, swept away in the tide of newfound zeal burning brightly in their hearts, but Simon, standing before his flock, felt a flicker of unrest amid the fervor. Did Thoth's words validate their faith, or were they heralding a call to something deeper? In the light of miraculous healing, questions danced like fireflies. What does it truly mean to believe? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the joyful villagers buzzed with anticipation, Simon realized he stood on the brink of something sacred. Their wounds were healing, but what lay ahead? Was it simply a rekindled tradition, or was a mysterious new chapter in faith awaiting them, one that might challenge all they thought they knew? The warmth of hope surged through the church like wildfire, yet Simon felt the weight of the unknown pressing down. What divine plan awaited them in this intricate tapestry of belief and revelation? The promise of answers loomed just beyond their grasp, calling everyone deeper into the heart of faith. The air inside the church hummed with a mix of praise and anticipation. Pastor Simon moved among the villagers, their faces aglow with newfound faith. Yet a seed of doubt lingered in his heart as he observed the transformation around him. Could miraculous events truly redefine their understanding of faith, or were they merely a beautiful distraction from the harsher realities they faced? As Mary regained consciousness, she looked around with eyes filled with wonder. "Simon," she whispered, her voice a gentle plea, God has spoken through me. I felt his presence so profoundly. The words tumbled forth like sweet honey, igniting the room with an electric energy. Villagers leaned closer, eager to hear more, thirsting for divine direction from the woman who had been their anchor. Simon, brimming with concern yet inspired, stepped into the soft glow that enveloped Mary. "What did you see, my love?" he asked, searching for clarity amid the whirlwind of emotions. "I saw a light," she replied slowly, her brow furrowing in thought. It was more than just brightness. It was a warmth, a comfort. I understood deeply that we are all called to something greater. Thoth's words were not just history, they are prophecy for our time, meant to guide and unite us. A stillness settled over the congregation, their hearts collectively beat in quiet awe. The implications of Mary's revelation rippled through them, each person wrestling with the newfound understanding of their faith's journey. Among the villagers, old man Thomas, whose weathered fingers were once known only for gripping a walking stick, stood to speak, his voice steady yet trembling with reverence. What if this is our time for transformation? What if the illness plaguing our village is not just physical, but a reflection of the spiritual malaise we endure? His gaze turned towards Simon, searching for reassurance. Simon swallowed hard, feeling the weight of their expectations pressing upon him. "It could be so," he replied, sensing the invitation to explore deeper truths. "We must not only celebrate this miracle but also examine the wounds within us. Thoth may be calling us to confront our fears and doubts, to seek healing beyond the surface." Excited murmurs filled the room as villagers began exchanging glances, the flicker of understanding igniting mutual resolve. Faith was no longer a passive belief confined to dusty pews. It spurred action, a yearning to engage with the divine message woven through the fabric of their lives. But just as a flame flickers with uncertainty, so did Simon's heart. What would it mean to answer this call? He pondered silently. Would it entail casting aside long-held traditions? How could they embrace a path illuminated by both ancient wisdom and contemporary experience? "Let us gather once more," Mary suggested, her eyes twinkling with unshed tears. "We must pray and seek guidance on what our next steps should be." Together, as one, they circled around the altar, hands clasped tightly. The church filled with voices, their prayers merging into a powerful chorus. And as the prayers rose, so too did an unfamiliar sensation, a gentle breeze, carrying whispers of revelation through the open windows. The warmth of hope enveloped them, leaving a charged space between the earthly and the divine. "What is happening?" A voice emerged from the back, startled yet curious. The room fell silent, holding its breath, as the air shimmered with sacred anticipation. Perhaps, Simon thought, excitement and apprehension entwining in his heart, this is just the beginning. The mysteries of faith beckoned them, promising transformation if they dared to walk this uncharted path together. What revelations awaited them on this journey? What would be revealed as they bravely faced their challenges? The question hung like a melody in the air, waiting for an answer just out of reach. As the last notes of prayer echoed through the church, a profound stillness settled upon the gathered villagers. The warm glow from the flickering candles illuminated soft faces, many etched with expressions of hope, fear, and yearning. Something sacred stirred within the hearts of those present. It was as if the very air they breathed now carried the weight of divine promise. "Did you feel that?" whispered Clara, a young mother clutching her child tightly. Her eyes sparkled with fear mixed with wonder, reflecting the conflict of emotions swirling in the room. "I did," came the reply of Jacob, standing nearby with trembling hands. "It is as if God is inviting us to something greater, to step beyond our limitations." In that moment, Pastor Simon felt a surge of urgency. He looked around at the faces that had become so familiar over the years, the laughter shared during harvest festivals, the sorrows exchanged in times of loss. "Brothers and sisters," he began, his voice steady and filled with a renewed energy. "We are on the brink of something life-changing. Mary's vision showed us that we are more than mere recipients of faith, we are active participants in God's plan." The villagers leaned in closer, their anticipation palpable. A spirit of unity awakened among them, deeper than any they had felt before. Simon sensed an electric potential crackling in the air, and he realized the time had come to engage more profoundly with the words of Thoth and the calling of the Lord. "Let us open the scriptures," Simon urged, retrieving a faded Bible from the altar. With trembling fingers, he flipped through the fragile pages, each turn revealing a treasure trove of wisdom. Thoth spoke of transformation, of light and darkness, but what did Jesus say about this? What if, through Christ, we are invited to a new understanding? The congregation shifted, murmuring as he began to read. His voice rang clear with each word, a delightful melody blending with the fervent hopes of his people. As he read stories of healing, love, and forgiveness, he felt the room come alive with the spirit of prophecy. It was not just history, it was a blueprint for the future that awaited them. Jesus did not just come to heal physical ailments, Simon continued, his voice rising with conviction. He came to touch our very souls, to awaken the dormant faith within us all. He calls us to rise above our struggles and hunger for the divine. What if we believed in this together? A voice from the back broke through, filled with excitement and uncertainty, rising like a wave of possibility. What if we put aside our divisions and embraced this calling as one? Yes, echoed Old Man Thomas, excitement dancing in his usually solemn eyes. We've been waiting. Perhaps our faith is waiting for us to act, not just here but in our lives outside of these walls. As if sensing the growing rhythm, the candles flickered, flames wavering as a gentle breeze swept through the church, pulling at the threads of prophecy suspended in the air. The villagers began to rise, faces aglow with conviction. Their hearts pulsed as they booed the fear, turning their backs to doubt. "Then let us seek him together," Simon declared, raised hands gesturing with fervor. "Let us embrace the challenge. Not merely to understand Thoth's teachings but to live them out. To resist all temptations that would tear us apart, knowing that through Christ's light, we can overcome anything." A chorus of agreement swelled in the church, filling the air with promises of action. Yet even in their enthusiasm, a subtle doubt lingered. What would they find waiting for them on this path? As the service drew to a close, a renewed sense of purpose washed over them, leaving a soul-stirring question hanging in the air: what trials awaited them as they pledged to answer this divine call? And as they stepped out into the twilight, with hearts and spirits ignited, the promise of transformation echoed in their minds, whispering secrets of sacrifice and revelation yet to unfold. Would their faith hold strong amid the coming trials? What would God reveal next? As the villagers streamed out of the church, a warm breeze swept through the streets, as if the very heavens were breathing life into the gathering dusk. The sky was painted with hues of gold and purple, mirroring the fiery spirits ignited within the hearts of those who had just pledged to seek God's calling together. Clara, still hugging her child close, turned to Jacob. What if we are truly meant to become the change we seek?" Her voice was a gentle melody laced with hope. Jacob nodded, his eyes glimmering. "It starts with us, doesn't it? We have to let our faith drive us." As they walked, others began to join in, their conversations a tapestry of dreams and doubts. Old Man Thomas shuffled alongside them, his usual reticence now replaced with vibrant energy. "I recall the stories of our forefathers. They too faced trials, yet they leaped into God's purpose with trembling hearts. We need that courage today." A sudden clarity settled over Clara. "What if we organized a gathering in the village square? We could share our stories, our fears and also our hopes." The thought resonated through the group like a bell ringing clear. They exchanged glances, the excitement bubbling to the surface. Here, in this ordinary village, something extraordinary was unfolding, a collective awakening. Pastor Simon moved among them, his presence grounding yet nurturing. "Yes, each of you carries a piece of God's message. Look how the Lord lit this flame in our church today. Imagine what could happen if we come together as one, united in faith. Each voice matters." The elders and the youth, mothers and fathers, nodded in agreement, energized by the pastor's words. Suddenly, it no longer felt like a small village, it felt like a community poised on the brink of spiritual revolution. As the participants began to share their visions for the gathering, the air seemed to shimmer with divine connection. Ideas flowed freely, and laughter mingled with prayers, creating a sacred chorus that echoed into the evening. The villagers, once hesitant, now stood firm, prepared to share their vulnerabilities and faith in public. Suddenly, Clara turned serious. But what if we encounter doubt? What if we're met with rejection? Can we truly stand firm? A hush fell over the group. In that moment, they confronted their shared fear. Old man Thomas took a deep breath, the weight of his years adding gravity to his words. Doubt is a shadow, my dear. But shadows cannot extinguish the light. We need to remember that God is with us. Every step we take, we are not alone. Pastor Simon raised his hands again, gathering their thoughts like a shepherd calling to his flock. We remember that Jesus faced trials too. The path we tread may not always be easy, but every step we take is lined with faith. Together, our light will shine brighter than the darkness. A sense of reassurance washed over them, yet a lingering question hung in the air, tantalizing and unresolved. Was their faith enough to meet the challenges beyond their village walls? As night fell, they each departed with an unmistakable anticipation in their hearts, the mounting energy of their shared faith urging them forward. What awaited them in the village square was beyond their current understanding. A divine opportunity for transformation was at hand, but as they prepared to rise to the occasion, a whisper in the depths of Clara's heart stirred unease. Was the path not just about them, but about something greater? As each villager returned home under the vast canopy of stars, a question lingered in the air, echoing like a promise. In their quest to embrace faith, what unfathomable truths would be unveiled in the days to come? The following morning dawned with a soft light spilling across the fields, transforming the dew into tiny diamonds adorning blades of grass. Clara awoke before the sun had fully risen, her heart still swaying with the echoes of last night's revelations. She knelt by her bedside, cradling her child, who still slept peacefully. Taking a deep breath, she uttered a silent prayer, surrendering her worries about the gathering. This was no longer merely a village affair, it was a step into the unknown, a chance to seek the divine together. As the sound of roosters rang through the village, Clara felt a growing excitement within her. She dressed quickly, her mind ablaze with thoughts of possibilities. Each villager she would invite had their own struggles, their own shadows, and yet they also possessed an innate light that yearned to shine. They were all merely vessels, waiting to be filled. Meanwhile, Jacob strode through the quiet streets, greeting every neighbor he encountered. Good morning. Have you given any thought to tonight? It's going to be remarkable. His enthusiasm was contagious. People smiled at him, though some still held slight reservations in their expressions. He understood their hesitance, but he also trusted that faith could ignite sparks of joy and transformation. As Clara prepared her home for the day, the sounds of laughter and conversation began to fill the air. Villagers emerged from their homes, drawn toward the square like moths to a flame. Clara joined them, heart racing with purpose. Tonight is a night for all of us. She called out, her voice projecting warmth and resolve. Let us come together, share our hearts, and spark a movement toward something divine. The excitement built as people began to gather in anxious anticipation. Old man Thomas, standing by a weathered oak, beckoned to a group of children playing nearby. You young ones may not understand the depth of this night, but the seeds of your faith can grow into mighty trees. They looked up at him, wide-eyed, as he continued, remember, God delights in the smallest of hearts, just as much as he does in the oldest. With the sun now climbing high, Pastor Simon gathered the villagers, setting a tone of unity. Tonight, we share not just our stories but also the testimony of God's love, inspiring one another, he affirmed. Even when we face our fears, we are bound by a thread stronger than we realize. As Clara took her place among them, she felt a sense of calm wash over her. All the doubts that had whispered to her were now silenced by a chorus of voices rising together in faith. The warmth of their shared spirit wrapped around her like a blanket, igniting a fire of hope, but even as they spoke of courage and faith, in her heart lingered an ache, a question yet to be answered. What if this was only the beginning? What if the challenges they faced were merely stepping stones to a greater revelation? As the sun dipped low, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, a gentle wind brushed across the village, as if heralding a change. Clara stood before the gathering, feeling the weight of so many eyes upon her. In that moment, her heart whispered, "What will this night unfold? What lessons and gifts does God have in store for us?" The air was thick with expectation, a daunting mystery unfurling before them like a blanket of stars. And as Clara inhaled deeply, a sense of divine purpose surged within her soul tonight. They would not just share stories, they would create a narrative that could change their lives forever. What profound truths would they discover together? What untold light would emerge from their willingness to stand firm in faith? As they prepared for the evening, the largest question of all loomed: would their hearts be ready to embrace the divine destiny unfolding right before them? The sun sank lower, casting elongated shadows that danced lightly across the assembled crowd. Clara's eyes sparkled with anticipation, a mixture of hope and divine curiosity bubbling within her as she scanned the faces of her neighbors. Each one was a story. Each heart contained a silent prayer. The vibrant hues of twilight painted a sacred backdrop, and a serene hush fell over the gathering. Pastor Simon stood firm before them, embodying a quiet strength. "My friends," he began, his voice steady yet tender, "tonight marks a new beginning. History isn't just behind us, it is woven into our spirits. And as we come together, we can shape what lies ahead." His words hung in the air, stirring something deep within everyone. Faith is not just belief, it is action. The villagers leaned in closer, drawn by an invisible thread of connection. Clara could feel the energy shifting, the pulse of unity thumping more fiercely in their midst. Old man Thomas began to nod slowly, his eyes sparkling like the morning dew. "There's strength in our stories. They bind us, even as we face the unknown." A child's giggle burst forth, momentarily breaking the solemnity, but it only served to deepen the warmth in Clara's heart. "There's joy even in the gathering of shadows." Clara stepped forward, her palms raised in a gesture of openness. "Let each voice be heard. Let every heart be uncovered." She called out, inviting stories that had long been cradled in silence. She felt the spark of courage ripple through the crowd. One after another, villagers began to share their journeys. Sarah, a widow, spoke of loneliness but also of the sunrise that followed her darkest nights. David, who had struggled with doubt, recounted the moment he felt God's presence during a storm. With each testimony, Clara watched faces brighten, tears of release and joy streaming down. The air buzzed with revelations. There was an understanding emerging that their experiences connected them to something far greater than themselves. Each tale was a step towards healing. Each shared moment was a thread spun from divine love, binding them closer. In that sacred space, a sense of anticipation surged anew. Jacob stood up next, his voice cracking with emotion. "What if the hardest times lead to the greatest blessings? I've felt lost for so long, but discovering faith has ignited a light within me. Perhaps tonight is about more than just sharing, it's about letting that light shine." The crowd murmured in agreement. Heartbeats synchronized, faith echoed off walls, and Clara felt illuminated, as if their shared spirit ascended towards the heavens. These humble souls, united in vulnerability, cultivated a shrine of connection and love. Yet, amid this growing grace, soft shadows lingered at the edges. There were still hearts weighed down by fear, doubts lurking beneath the surface. Clara felt it intimately wrapped around her heart as well. "What if this moment is too fleeting?" whispered a part of her soul. Then, as a gentle breeze swept through the gathering, it carried with it an electrifying current, tinged with divine urgency. It was as if the very essence of faith danced among them, tickling their spirits with hope yet provoking something profound. What divine purpose lay nestled within those shimmering stories? What would they discover if they fully embraced each other's light? Clara raised her hands towards the dimming sky, her heart pulsating with longing. The night was pregnant with possibility, and they were on the precipice of something extraordinary. "Will you join me in prayer?" she offered, inviting the community into a moment of stillness. And as they bowed their heads, a stillness enveloped them like a warm embrace, revealing what sacred truths awaited their collective hearts. Would they be ready for the next step God was calling them toward? As Clara's voice floated through the twilight, the crowd's hush deepened. Their heads bowed. It was as if, in that moment, the world faded away. Hearts beat in synchrony with a divine rhythm, and a palpable sense of anticipation hung in the air. Clara felt the presence of something greater enveloping them, a blanket of peace and promise. "Lord," she began, her voice barely a whisper. "Guide us. Reveal the truths that nurture our souls." A wave of warmth washed over her, igniting a flicker of hope. The villagers, though silent, shared in that prayerful embrace, an invisible bond tightening around them all. As the weight of solitude lifted, Clara sensed a stirring. It wasn't merely a need for spiritual clarity, it was a yearning to unearth the divine wisdom that each of them carried. Perhaps it was time to delve deeper into the unspoken fears, to unravel the threads of doubt, and weave them into a tapestry of faith. Suddenly, a voice emerged from the back. It was young Emily, her bright eyes wide, her spirit untamed. "Can I share something?" she asked, hesitating for just a moment. The entire assembly turned towards her, encouragement glowing in their eyes. "Of course. This is our space," Clara urged. Emily took a deep breath, her small hands clasped tightly in front of her. "I've been scared. Sometimes it feels like God doesn't hear me. I wonder if he even sees me at all. But the other day, I saw a butterfly. It was beautiful and it danced in the sunlight, and I thought, if God cares for that butterfly, maybe he cares for me too." A collective murmuring flowed through the crowd. Clara felt tears welling in her eyes. She recognized that fear was woven into the fabric of humanity. But she also felt Emily's truth, that delicate thread of consolation. "Just as the butterfly transforms, so do we," Clara said softly, her heart racing. "God sees each of us. Every one of us carries a story of struggle, a story of growth." Around her, villagers nodded, touched by the simplicity and depth of Emily's confession. A gentle breeze whispered through the gathering, rustling leaves as if nature itself joined in their communion. The atmosphere was changing, transforming. Clara glanced around, noticing hesitant souls begin to release their stories. Margaret, a shy young woman standing at the edge, stepped forward. "I sometimes feel invisible," she admitted, her voice shaking. "But last week, I helped a neighbor, and she looked at me like I mattered. That's when I felt God's love, I think, in that small moment." Clara's heart swelled. Here, they were becoming threads in a greater design. They were building a living testament to faith, a faith that blossomed in silence and comforted in uncertainty. Pastor Simon stepped forward, moving amongst them slowly. "Tonight is a reminder that every story is sacred. Each testimony shines light on shadows we all face." His voice was filled with compassion, echoing what they all felt so deeply. As each person shared, Clara felt a lightness. Burdens, once heavy and dense, began lifting. She thought of the shadows still lingering at the edge of their gathering, the unspoken doubts, and the silent fears. Would they also find their voices? Would they join in the collective healing? "Let us remember," Clara interjected, "that the lights we bear might guide someone else through their darkness. What if our scars become the maps that help others find their way?" A hush enveloped them again, this time filled with hope's promise. The weight of the unknown still loomed, but in that moment together, they felt the strength of each other's spirit. Clara raised her hands again, this time not just in prayer, but as an invitation into the depths of shared vulnerability. What greater purpose awaited them beyond this night? What miracles lived in the stories still untold? As night fell fully around them, Clara sensed that God was stirring something in their hearts, something profound. Would they be bold enough to accept the call? Clara breathed in the cool night air, tinged with the scent of blooming flowers and wet earth. The stars began to twinkle overhead, a reminder of the divine light that shone even in the darkest hours. It was a call that wove through the very fabric of their meeting, inviting them to share more, to unearth deeper truths and embrace their raw humanity together. Again, a silence fell, thick with expectation. Clara felt it, that sacred space opening, and hoped it would lead to unfathomable revelations. In the quietness, she saw the faces of the villagers illuminated in the soft glow of candlelight. Hope gleamed in their eyes, ready to discover what lay hidden beneath the surface. "Is there more?" Clara asked gently, urging them to continue their journey of vulnerability. "What else does the Lord want us to know?" A soft voice broke through the stillness. It was Liam, his brow furrowed as he stepped forward. "I often feel like I'm fighting an uphill battle, like I'm not enough." His hands trembled slightly, yet his honesty possessed a raw strength. "I think everyone expects me to be strong. But I feel so lost sometimes." His admission hung in the air, a poignant thread woven into the gathering tapestry. Clara crossed the distance, her heart reaching for him. "Liam, you are not alone in that struggle. God sees you. In your vulnerability, there is strength too." The villagers murmured in agreement, their hearts resonating with Liam's vulnerability. One by one, more souls stepped forward, unveiling the complexities of their own fears. "I lost my job," Maria admitted, voice cracking. "I thought it was a curse, but it slowly turned into what feels like a blessing, a chance to start over." Clara smiled as she noted the tears that glistened in Maria's eyes, now mixed with the light of hope. "You found a new beginning in the midst of loss. That is the hand of God at work." Another voice broke through. It was Peter, an older gentleman whose weathered face told stories of wisdom. "What if we're all just vessels of God's love? Imperfect and cracked, but still capable of passing on His light." As he spoke, something shifted. Each confession felt like a stone being cast into the water, rippling outward with unity and understanding. Each tale was a truth of struggle, hope, and God's unwavering presence. The wind picked up slightly, as if to affirm their gathering. Clara could almost hear the whispers of the Holy Spirit dancing among them. "What powerful revelations we carry," she said, "when we unveil the treasures hidden within our challenges. Each story shines like a star in a darkened sky." Just then, a serendipitous moment occurred. The moon broke through the clouds, casting a glimmering light upon the assembly. Clara felt a surge of grace overwhelming the air, even the rustle of leaves seemed to echo it. It was a quiet pulse of faith. They were no longer just villagers united by proximity, they became a family united by purpose. Clara, emboldened by the divine energy swirling around them, felt compelled to ask, if our spirits are interwoven, what if we stepped boldly into our purpose? What if we believed God could change our very lives through each other's stories? As murmurs of agreement filled the night air, Clara sensed something monumental brewing just beneath the surface. The weight of their shared experiences held power. When woven together, they could change not only their lives but also the lives of those who may not yet believe. With their hearts ignited, Clara posed one last question before they parted, her own spirit alight with wonder. What if our gathering tonight was just the beginning? What if we are called to share this light beyond these walls? What miracles await as we step into the world, transformed? The night settled around them, leaving a lingering sensation of divine anticipation. What awaited them outside their familiar sanctuary? What new revelations and changes would come as they ventured forth? As the villagers began to disperse, the evening air felt charged with a spirit of possibility. Clara stood watching them, their silhouettes gradually merging into the darkness, yet glowing with the light of newfound hope. She couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the brink of something extraordinary. With every step, they carried their stories, each an ember of faith, ready to ignite the world beyond their village. Clara took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment wrap around her. It was indeed a profound realization. Their vulnerabilities had sparked a flame of purpose, one that could touch lives far beyond their own. Where do we go from here? She whispered to the stars, as if they held the answers. They twinkled back at her, alluring and mysterious, evoking a myriad of questions. If they were lights in the vast sky, perhaps they were also embers waiting to be fanned into a fire. The divine synergy among them felt palpable, and she sensed the presence of something greater, urging her to act boldly. "Clara." The voice jolted her from her thoughts. It was Liam, returning, a determined look on his face. "I was wondering what if we organized a gathering? Like tonight, but bigger. We could invite others from nearby towns. We can share our stories, our hopes and fears." His earnestness radiated warmth. "We could share what we've learned, spread this light. I think it could really make a difference, encourage others to come forward. Maybe together, we can face our struggles with God's help." A ripple of excitement coursed through Clara. "That's a wonderful idea, Liam. A gathering of light. They could become conduits of divine love, instrumental in breaking chains of despair." As they spoke, others turned back, curious about the energy brewing anew. "Count me in," Maria exclaimed, her eyes glimmering beneath the moonlight. "If we can lift each other, why not extend that love? There are many out there who need to hear our stories to know they're not alone." "I want to help too," Peter added, stepping forward. "We can spread this message of hope, gather those who have been silenced by fear. Together we can remind them of God's unwavering love." A thrill surged through Clara's heart. It was as if God's Spirit was moving among them, igniting a collective fervor for change. "Let us not just keep our stories where they're safe. Let us take the light into the world," she declared, raising her arms as though to embrace the sky. As the group began to form around her, they were no longer individuals with burdens, they were a community, a living testament to God's promise. Whispers of inspiration hung in the air as they discussed logistics and dreams, each idea unfurling like a blossoming flower. In that moment, Clara felt a surge of divine purpose. They weren't simply coming together, they were on the cusp of a transformation, a shift that could ripple outward into communities far beyond their own. As they shared in their enthusiasm, Clara's heart was heavy with expectancy. Would their dreams take flight? Would their gathering herald a broader awakening? She felt a yearning for the unknown, wondering what it meant for their own lives and the lives of countless others. The night continued to unfold, filled with energies of hope and inspiration, but Clara knew that the journey ahead would demand courage. The road might be winding, filled with unexpected challenges and revelations. Will we stand strong in our convictions, no matter the cost? She pondered aloud, sensing the gravity of their calling. The answer felt like a prayer lingering on the tips of their tongues, charged with suspense and promise. With eyes shining bright with faith, they responded, "Yes." Just then, an unexpected gust of wind swept through the gathering, and Clara's heart skipped a beat. It felt prophetic, as if it was a divine whisper directing them to step forward. What awaited them in the days to come? What revelations would unfold as they opened their hearts to those they had yet to meet? Clara could hardly contain the anticipation bubbling within her. As their plans began to take shape under the watchful stars, one question resonated above the rest: what miracles might arise when collective faith meets the world? The day of the gathering arrived with a golden sunrise that kissed the village awake. Clara stepped outside, feeling the warm embrace of the sun on her face, a gentle reminder of the promise that lay ahead. She could sense the excitement in the air, thick and vibrant, as neighbors greeted each other with newfound energy. The village square bustled with activity. Colorful banners adorned the trees, fluttering like excited flags heralding a new chapter of faith. Clara watched as old friends gathered, others met for the first time, and almost immediately, laughter filled the air. Each face reflected a mixture of nervous anticipation and fierce hope. Pastor Simon stood at the center of the square, his heart brimming with gratitude. "Brothers and sisters," he began, his voice strong yet tender, "today is not just about sharing our stories, it's about intertwining our lives into a tapestry of faith. Each thread represents our struggles, our joys, and the everlasting love of Christ. God has led us here to shine together." The crowd erupted in applause, voices rising in unison, filling the square with a new kind of music. Clara felt the surge of unity wash over her, inspiring her spirit even further. It felt not just like a gathering, but a revival, an awakening. As people shared their testimonies, Clara's heart danced. David recounted a story of hope after unemployment had threatened his family's well-being. "In my darkest moments," he said, emotions swelling, "I discovered a depth of faith I never knew I had. I learned that even in scarcity, God provides." As he spoke, eyes glistened with tears of empathy, hearts uniting under a shared understanding of struggle. Clara could feel an unbreakable bond forming as one village story after another was revealed, a quilt crafted from faith, stitched with courage. Then came Emily, her youthful exuberance lighting up the gathering. "I used to be scared to speak up," she confessed, her voice strong. "But after hearing everyone share last week, I realized that my voice matters too. If God cares for butterflies, He certainly cares for us." The crowd erupted in cheers. Clara saw confidence blossom on Emily's face, her testimony a beacon for others. With each story, the transformation of the villagers deepened. Old Man Thomas approached the makeshift stage, his whispery voice now filled with boldness. "Each of us carries something beautiful within us," he declared. "Even the wounds we bear can guide others in their search for healing." His words sparked something powerful among the villagers, igniting faith in ways they hadn't anticipated. Clara felt a swell of joy and pride to be part of this community, realizing how pivotal their collective story had become. And then Liam, filled with fire and passion, took the stage. "Unity doesn't mean we one face storms. It means we can weather them together. What if we formed a group to help those in need, to spread God's love beyond these walls?" His eyes twinkled with determination as the crowd roared with approval. "That's it!" Clara shouted, emboldened by the waves of energy around her. "Let us not forget those who are suffering. Let this gathering be a springboard for action." They cheered, the collective voice echoing through the village like a chorus of angels. As the day turned to dusk, the lanterns illuminating the square flickered to life, painting the scene in a warm, inviting glow. The energy of the gathering, this divine momentum, felt unstoppable. Clara looked around, her heart swelling with something indescribable. Community. Love. Transformation. It all felt surreal, knitted together through shared journeys and the willingness to step into the unknown. Pastor Simon concluded with a prayer for blessings and guidance, and as he did, an overwhelming peace enveloped everyone. Without warning, a soft breeze caressed their faces, carrying a divine whisper that echoed in the depths of their souls. "Can you feel that?" Clara whispered to Jacob, standing next to her. He nodded, eyes wide with wonder. "Yes, it's as though God's presence is here, inviting us to go even deeper." And as the night deepened, everyone lifted their voices in worship, singing songs of gratitude and praise, their hearts soaring while their spirits intertwined. The village square became a sanctuary of courage, a sacred flashpoint for miracles waiting to unfold. Slowly, as the music crescendoed, Clara caught a glimpse of Mary standing with tears of joy glistening in her eyes. She beamed at Simon, sharing a knowing look filled with endless possibilities. Mary stepped forward, her voice steady, infused with authority. "Our faith has awakened our hearts. Let us be bold and step into God's call." In that moment, as they all stood hand in hand, Clara understood. The whispers of doubt had melted away, replaced by an insatiable longing to serve, to love, to shine beyond the boundaries of their village. The journey ahead lay open before them, a grand adventure laced with God's grace. Days turned into weeks. Each gathering brought more discoveries, and each effort branching out into the world plant seeds of faith. Together, through upheld hands, vulnerable stories, and open hearts, they had woven together an unshakable faith in divine purpose. With clarity and unity as their guiding stars, the question of what miracles might arise when collective faith meets the world was answered. They were miracles waiting to happen, each one a testament to God's unfailing love. As Clara closed her eyes that night, happy and fulfilled, she realized she had always belonged to something grander, an everlasting story of hope ignited in the depths of true faith, destined to weave through lives yet to be touched. And at that moment, she felt a divine peace, assuring her of the journey still waiting ahead. Now, beloved friends, if you've journeyed with us thus far, you need to subscribe immediately to our channel so you don't miss the next exclusive faith stories that will inspire your spirit. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to fuel our algorithm. Your thumbs up really makes a difference, and tell us in the comments your reactions or testimonies about this ending. Your voices matter and encourage us to keep sharing. Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see these divine manifestations. Remember, only true servants of God understand the power of faith in action. Let us light up this world together.